the autumn of 1983, in Dallas, Texas, a beige plastic computer was selling for less than it cost to build, and the man who ran the division that made it, a 52-year-old process engineer named Morris Chang, was finished inside Texas Instruments. 4 years later, he founded a company now worth $2 trillion, the Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company. Maybe you had one of those computers. Maybe it sat on a card table in the den, wired into the family television. 2 years earlier, it cost $525. That autumn, after the rebate, you carried it out for under $100. The home computer business lost roughly $400 million in 2 quarters, the first quarterly loss in Texas Instruments history. Chang was blamed, and Chang was out. How does the man blamed for the worst consumer failure in Texas Instruments history end up building the most important factory on Earth? And why is its name on absolutely nothing you own? Start in 1958 at a bench in Dallas. Chang was 27, born in Ningbo, China, educated at Harvard, then MIT, and hired at Texas Instruments to supervise a line making transistors under contract for IBM. The line simply did not work. IBM itself got about a 5% yield on the same part. When the process reached Dallas, the engineers had a joke about it. The yields were 0 and stable. Chang refused IBM's specifications. He rewrote the process from semiconductor theory and from what he had learned on the floor at Sylvania, his first job out of school. The yield climbed. It matched IBM. Then it passed IBM and kept going, above 30%. Of the 4 transistor lines Texas Instruments ran for IBM, exactly 1 beat the customer's own numbers, and it was his. That is the whole man at 27. Not an inventor, not a visionary, a man who takes a process nobody can make work and makes it work. By 1978, he was running Texas Instruments Consumer Products Group. And here is the crack. Consumer products meant the home computer, and the home computer dropped a company built on engineering discipline into a knife fight over price. The TI-99-4 arrived in 1979 at $1,150, roughly $5,000 in today's money. 2 years later, the improved TI-99-4A came in at $525. Picture the den. The machine is wired to the television because almost nobody bought a monitor. You push a cartridge into the slot on the right. If you want the game your cousin copied for you, you press play on the cassette recorder and wait, and the speaker makes a sound like a small animal in distress for 3 solid minutes, and somebody in the kitchen tells you not to touch the television dial. That was Saturday. Then a man named Jack Tramiel, running Commodore, started cutting. The VIC-20 went to $199. In February 1983, Texas Instruments dropped the wholesale price of the 99-4A to $150, well below what it cost to make. On the 4th of April, Commodore went to $99. Tramiel was not selling computers. He was burning a competitor's balance sheet on purpose, and he knew it. Today, that same machine, boxed and working, changes hands with collectors on eBay for roughly $40 to $200 in real terms, more than Texas Instruments was getting the month it killed it. If you still remember that machine, the cartridge slot, the cassette hiss, the television standing in for a screen, do me one favor and subscribe. Every week on this channel, we bring one of these forgotten giants back to life. The companies that built the modern world and then vanished from it. One lost empire at a time. Texas Instruments answered with a $100 rebate. In October 1983, the product was discontinued. Chang had already been moved in 1981 to a post called Director of Quality and Productivity, a job he later described as being put out to pasture. He left for General Instrument and lasted a year. You can read what Texas Instruments did 2 ways, and honest history holds both. One says a division lost a fortune and the man over it was moved. The other says, Texas Instruments spent 25 years training the best process engineer in America and then gave him away. It would not have mattered either way. What Chang was about to build could never have existed inside a company that designed its own chips. In 1985, a Taiwanese official named KT Lee, an engineer who helped write the island's industrial policy, asked Chang to run the Industrial Technology Research Institute in Hsinchu. Chang was 54. He took the job in a pay cut and later compared the approach to The Godfather, an offer you cannot refuse. The government asked him for a plan. He handed back the strangest business proposal of the decade. Taiwan could not outdesign America. What it had was the ability to run a factory well. So Chang proposed a company that would design nothing at all. It would only manufacture for anyone and compete with none of its customers. A pure-play foundry. At that moment, perhaps 50 companies on Earth had a chip design and no factory. Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company was incorporated on the 21st of February, 1987. The government put in about $100 million for roughly half of it. Philips, the Dutch electronics giant, put in $58 million, plus its process technology and patent licenses for around 27.5%. Wealthy Taiwanese families were pressed into the rest. In 1988, Intel qualified TSMC as a supplier. A small order, an enormous signal. Intel's auditors were the hardest in the world. What TSMC sold was not silicon. It was the guarantee that your design would not walk out of the building and come back under the manufacturer's own brand next year. If you never have to build a factory, you can start a chip company with engineers and a lease. In 1997, a small California company was down to 50 people and 1 month of payroll. It had approached TSMC's San Jose office and been ignored. So its chief executive, a man named Jensen Huang, wrote to Morris Chang and posted the letter to a box number in Hsinchu. What Chang remembers about it is not flattery, it is annoyance. He had always told his salespeople never to be careless with a small customer. He phoned back. TSMC took the job. The chip was the Riva 128. It shipped on the 25th of August, 1997, and it saved the company. The following year, Nvidia signed TSMC as its foundry. You have probably heard why this worked. It gets told as cheap Asian labor and government money. There is one problem with that. TSMC has never been the cheap option. Its customers pay a premium because a wafer that comes back with more working chips is worth more, and yield is what Chang was best in America at in 1958. Today, TSMC holds roughly 72% of the pure-play foundry market. 2-nanometer production runs at Fab 22 in Kaohsiung and Fab 20 in Hsinchu sold out for the year. Under Chief Executive C.C. Wei, it has committed $265 billion to fabs in Arizona. In a single quarter this year, it reported $40.2 billion in revenue and $22.36 billion in profit. And here's the part that matters to you. Nothing you own says TSMC on it. In 2002, a TSMC engineer named Burn-Jeng argued you could keep shrinking chips by running the light through a thin layer of water. The industry called it a stunt. It is the reason the phone in your hand exists. The chip in your car, the hearing aid, the router in your hallway, Lin's water is in all of them, under somebody else's logo. Go and look at that computer now. There is a TI-99 4A behind glass at the Smithsonian's National Museum of American History in Washington. The same machine dumped for under $100 in 1983. Morris Chang is a fellow of the Computer History Museum in Mountain View, 1,500 miles west of the Dallas building where they told him he was finished. Texas Instruments did not lose Morris Chang. Texas Instruments was Morris Chang. The yield, the discipline, the refusal to accept a bad process, until the morning it decided a man who could not win a price war on plastic keyboards was surplus. That computer sat on your card table for one Christmas. The company its failure built is in your pocket right now and always will be under somebody else's name. If one of these was in your house, the 99 4A, the calculator, the first machine that ever hooked up to your television, drop a comment. Tell us the model, the year, and whether it still works. The people who use these machines know more about what was built than the people who sold it. This archive is written in the comments. There's a perfect companion to this one. TSMC won by building the future for other people and letting them take the credit. Prodigy was handed the entire American internet, put its own name on everything, and gave the future back. Same era, opposite mistake. It's on the screen right now, appearing over this video. Just tap the card, and I'll see you in there.